focus on my area, everything goes better. Everything goes better. Everything goes better. Everything goes.
Hey, today's a pretty wild idea that is something that's really important, but not everybody is comfortable with it. So I'm going to share my knowledge, give you some tools, and you accept it as best you can and leverage it for your life. Make your choices. And hopefully this one can serve you as much as it served me. So today's idea is intuition. And you might be wondering, like, okay, great, intuition. I get it. I already understand that. That's probably why there's not a whole lot of comments or notes or graphs on this paper, because intuition is one of those things, right? It's heart feeling. You use your intuition to keep safe. You use your intuition to work on your self-trust. Oh, I just bumped the microphone. Use your intuition to work on your self-trust. And then there's the wisdom within. So, what the heck is wisdom within? Have you ever, and this is going to be intuition, have you ever been going a certain direction, or maybe you were in a city and your phone told you to take a right and the alley looked a little questionable, and you kind of look at it. You don't really have any good information that says that's a dangerous alley. You don't have any good information that says that's a safe alley. So you kind of have to make your own choice. And you say, how do I feel about this alley? My feelings, I'm going to ask those. What do they think? And you check with your feelings and you're calm. Most people would think, oh my God, a dark alley, it's going to be, frightening. But you're calm. And the more you look at the alley, the more it just looks like a walkway. It's a walkway between buildings. It wasn't really an alley. There's not like garbage piled up. And you go ahead and take your path. So that's intuition stepping in the middle. And I don't know myself if intuition is just an interpretation of the other information we get. Does the alley smell good or bad? Do we see rodents, garbage, or not? Those kind of things are going to play into those decisions, and your conscious mind is going to see one rat at a time. They've done research about our actual focal, like the spot that we look. If you look at a room, you do not look at a room. You look at about a 1-inch circle that radiates out from your eye, and it'll hit the wall, and then your mind fills in the blanks for what the rest of the wall looks like. So if you look at the 4 walls, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've only gotten the information in my eyes for about 4 of these little, well, I don't know how big 1 inch is, but I've got a very small amount of information. The peripheral, which we know exists, is not really focused. It's all out of focus. And so details are not really clear. But our minds, our consciousness, fills in the blanks and just puts whatever it wants there. That's why you might see apparitions, because you might have just recently, days, weeks before, watched a movie about people that saw apparitions. And then there's a certain spot where data isn't really available to your brain. It's dark, or there's angles, and so you might project with your hallucinations an apparition. All that sounds very clinical. I know. But it's just what happens. I'm trying out a new chair, and it swivels. And from my days in film and television, I know that swiveling around on a chair is the worst kind of content. So I'm trying to sit still and be good. Okay. So I've got some more papers, because this subject is much more than just a couple data points. There's one thing I didn't cover yet, so I want to go ahead and cover that, and that's this phrase right here, body check-in. When you're thinking of going down a new pathway, or if you're thinking of stopping something that you would regularly do a check-in with your body. How does your heart feel? Your mind is going to tell you what it thinks. It's never going to shut up. It's just a blabbermouth. But what's your heart saying? How do your muscles feel? How does your breathing feel? Your lungs? And if all that stuff is excited and in the fight or flight mode, then that's another way you kind of can interpret your intuition and see how I feel about going this way or that way. Intuition is often confused with people that claim to see the future. That's not really what it is. Intuition, in my understanding, is, like I said, we don't really collect all the data and then analyze it in our brain. Our brains fill in the blanks for us. So if we hear a noise, but we can't immediately imagine what would have created that noise, we start intuitively trying on templates. Was it a cat? Did a piece of paper fall from a shelf? Was it a lizard outside on the window? Is that rain tapping the window? Could have been a bird. And it's that kind of work that our brains do, running down tangents to try to explain information that we don't feel comfortable having it unexplained right now. And our intuition can give us a sort of a break from going too far down those roads and just say, you know what, it was probably a cat. And cats are always around, and cats chase lizards, so even if it was a lizard, it was probably a cat going for the lizard. So we don't have to worry about it. Cats are fine. Lizards are fine. Strange ghouls from foreign planets, not so fine. But what are you going to do about it anyway? Like, they passed outer space to get here. You going to defend yourself with a broomstick? No. So we just sort of can make an assumption with our intuition. And that leads me to the next paper, which there's no great way to say this humbly. So I'm just going to say I was inspired on these two things. So the first inspiration I'm going to give you is, fear is a belief. What do you think? You think fear is a belief? Well, let's keep going. Beliefs must be unknown. If you believe something, that means you don't have proof. That's how beliefs work. You either believe it or you know it. That's the line you can't cross. If you know it, you don't believe it, you just know it. And if you believe it, it's because you don't know it. Right? So, keep going on here. Fear must be of unknown, and faith must be of unknown. Fear and faith are the same thing. And as soon as you know something, you disable fear and faith. I felt like I was inspired to write down that sort of algorithm. If you have a fear and it's based on belief, and beliefs can be based on false interpretations or assumptions or hearsay. So beliefs are not fact. And if your fears are always based on a belief, guess what? Fears aren't real. So that's one inspiration. I just wanted to share it with you real quick. And I feel like these come from my intuition when I have these ideas and put them together. I just folded the page so I can talk to you about the second thing. All right, here comes the second one. If you're ready. Only by living the whole life of someone else can you know them. For this reason, grant everyone grace, empathy, and acceptance. That's a pretty good excuse to just be nice, right? But be nice doesn't always work out to people that don't really understand what nice means, because it's one of those words that people that are gaslighting would ask for. Can't you be nice to me? I have so many problems and you don't have any. You know, those kind of gaslighting people. So we want to say other words like grant them grace. Empathy. Empathy isn't letting yourself be a pushover. Empathy is a comprehension of the possibility that they have had a difficult time, and you can give them enough space for their experience to still be valid without harming yourself. That's empathy. It's very important. You don't harm yourself with empathy, because empathy, when you harm yourself, is when you start being sympathetic, but in a dangerous way, and you start like feeling the symptoms of other people's sicknesses. That's not empathy. That's overboard. That's like self-sacrifice, and its purpose is lost. And then there's always acceptance. So what's acceptance? Okay. My understanding of acceptance is just see me for me. And of course, judgment is always happening, but judge me individually, not for whatever group you think I belong in, not for whatever rumors of actions you think I may have done, but in your real experience with me. If you accept me, then you're basing that acceptance on the interactions that we've had, nothing more. And that's what I would appreciate as acceptance. Blind acceptance. If somebody's in a certain category, and categories are races, all the LGBT stuff, all those kind of things, those are categories. And you just blindly accept every word someone says as if they're perfect people, like they're the new Jesus, I think that's a mistake as well. You don't want to do that. Acceptance should be on an individual, one-to-one person situation. You don't ever blanket accept a group. You don't give people control over you because they've got a certain membership card or whatever else it is that they might want to provide as documentation. So that's your acceptance. be sparse with your acceptance, and be personal with it. Okay. Next thing, we're going to get back to intuition, because the last one is all about how powerful intuition is. But the next thing is this guy. I worked to print up a pretty paper. You can see it. It's so pretty. But it covers a concept, and I'm not going to make you read the whole thing. I'll probably offer it in a downloadable format somehow on this video. But here it is. You imagine a copy of whatever you've observed from the point of view of yourself. I meet a new person. We'll name them Janet. I meet Janet. Janet's pretty awesome. When I meet Janet, they are finishing some sort of amazing artistic presentation, and they get an award for it. So everything I know about Janet is they are artistic and they are award-winning. That's my entire Janet dictionary in my brain. And I remember that about Janet. And guess what happens? Janet is a whole human being. It's just like from the first part where I said, only by living the whole life of somebody else can you know them. I make a copy of who I think Janet is. And back to our eyes, where we don't really see details and we sort of fill in the blanks with our minds. I fill in the blanks for Janet. What do I fill it in with? Other information that I've had while I was growing up. I knew somebody about Janet's height. So I fill in some attributes about that person as if that's the same as Janet. I knew somebody with Janet's skin color. I knew somebody with Janet's smile. And I start building an entire 3D representation of Janet that has nothing to do with Janet. It could possibly be close, but it's definitely not Janet. So we do that with more than just Janet. We do that with buildings, we do that with roads, trees. We do that with temperature. If you've ever said, oh my God, it's so cold in here. And somebody next to you says, what are you talking about? I'm sweating. We each have our own copies of the entire experienced universe. And they're in our brains. And we're constantly double checking that database that's in our brains, our copy, to see, are we safe? Can we take a risk? Should we pursue some fun? And that's old data. You have to update your data. Have you ever had somebody who you believe is like a close personal friend and you fully understand them? You know everything that they would want and what they don't want and blah. And then you buy them a gift because a birthday, Christmas, some event occurred. So it's gift time. So you bring them a gift. They're going to love this gift. I know this is what they want. We didn't have to even talk about it. I'm bringing it to them. You bring it to them and they receive the gift and they go, oh, I'm not really excited about anvils. What happened there is you took your copy of your understanding of that person and you filtered in some new information from somewhere else, and you thought they would want an anvil. But they don't. Blacksmithing is not one of their passions. They have no interest in that. But there you are, right? Okay. Let me continue through this guy. Why does this matter? I'm skipping. You experience emotions based on your copy instead of the actual situations, materials, and instances. What that means is how you feel, which emotions happen in your body, which chemicals get released by your brain because of those emotions when you feel flush, because you think somebody is attracted to you and it makes you feel a little shy or excited. That's not because of those people. It's because of your copy of those people. And then your copy releases the chemicals, and then the chemicals make your cheeks red, and you get a little nervous, and it's all in your brain. Now, it might be real. When I say real, I mean their copy of you matches your copy of them closely enough, not the same, but closely enough that the way you're interpreting their actions and behavior matches up with what they intended. And this goes back to communication and the difference between somebody saying something and somebody hearing something and then comprehending. So, just for fun, I put a little picture on here. And this part is talking about what I just said, where our databases get out of date. We need to update them if we've run into a situation where the system or our system doesn't really match. But this little picture is the cutest thing. It shows a guy observing two other people, but in his brain, it's the two people and a third smaller person, and the two people are different. Like, one of the two people has a square head now. That's generally what I want you to understand. I'm looking right now at a camera and some lights, and if you were in this room in another location, because we can't occupy the same space at the same time, it's kind of a constriction on the world, your point of view is going to be different. And then you're copying your brain of this universe, whatever we can observe today is our universe. You're going to have a different example of that, and you might say, that's not a camera, that's a phone. I know. All right, so we're on to the last, I've shown you too much. We're on to the last document that I wrote out about this, and I just want to share how important it is to make sure your alignment follows your intuition and your feelings above most else. Okay? So, here we go. So this is the no for what you think you should do with your life, right? However, if you look at the alignments, the beliefs and the feelings and the thoughts are all pointing toward that thing. Up. I believe, here, we're going to go through an example. I believe my mom has my best interest in mind and would only say for me to do things that are absolutely perfect for me. And then I think that if I do the things my mom said, then I will find happiness. And I feel like, bad things haven't happened yet, so I might as well just go down that road. But if you pay close attention, you'll see that intuition is just out of alignment, right? So this might be to study to be a lawyer, doctor, all the default things, right? And then this one over here might be to start a church. Or it might be to climb mountains and make content about it. So, if our intuition is out of alignment with the other three, this is when it gets really important. What do you think is easy to change? All right, so we have four things. There's beliefs, feelings, intuition, and thought. Out of those four things, which ones are easy to be changed by external and internal influences? Okay, so I believe I have plenty of gas in my car, right? And I have a long trip to go, but I have plenty of gas because I believe it. And I think that I recently got gas, so there should be plenty of gas. All right? So, for feelings, I feel like there's no reason to even look at the gas gauge because I think that I got plenty of gas. And I believe that the trip won't be that long. Then my intuition says, maybe you should look at the gas gauge, right? And you check the gas gauge and oh my God, everything was wrong because intuition was based on the best thing. So your feelings, they're kind of squishy, but you do want to pay attention to them. Your beliefs are usually based on other beliefs and assumptions and observations from your point of view that are an incomplete version because you've made a little copy of your whole universe only from your point of view. To a baby, the walls of a crib are impossible to scale until the baby climbs out of them. And then, to that baby, those are not even an obstacle. So, these are the kind of things you need to understand about beliefs. They only hold up until they're proven wrong. But we need beliefs. What do you think a belief is? Okay, we'll go ahead and cover this. What are beliefs? They are previous decisions. I'm not going to touch the stove because I believe it could be hot. And I know that if I touch hot things, I'll burn. And burning is bad. So that's my belief. I'm not going to touch the stove. Right? Like I'll check first. Okay. The next thing is, what are thoughts? They're current decisions. We don't sit around and think for the happiness of thinking, right? If you're happy, you're just observing and going, wow, I'm so happy, this is amazing. You're not sitting around going, this is a happiness possibility. I think that this would be a good place to, as soon as you say I think and then blah, that's a current decision. So, if they're decisions, they can be redecided. That's why your beliefs and your thoughts are something that you can change. So, can they be changed? Yes. Now we go to the other side. What are feelings and what is intuition? Do you have any idea what feelings are? Okay. The quick answer is feelings are an interpretation of the things we've observed currently or in the past, because you can even have a memory and then invoke feelings. And those can result in a biochemical reaction or some sort of reaction in your brain, firing synapses, resulting in a new mood state. So feelings are direct responses to mood state. Also, by changing your body's position, you can alter your mood state, which generates feelings. So feelings are nothing but an indicator. They're like a compass pointer. You ever used a compass with the little pointer? Not the one on your phone with a bubble. A real one with a cork in the water and a little piece of needle. Anyway. But the reason feelings are not a dependable decision source is they're only indicators of things that could be wrong, like assumptions and partial observations, and even memories that are skewed from being over time or skewed from being a misinterpretation of the event at the time. So feelings are not like who you are. Feelings are just something on the dashboard that's blinking. I like that. I'm going to use that more often. Feelings are something on the dashboard that might be blinking. That's your feelings. I know they can be crippling, right? The wrong thing on the dashboard is blinking and you're not driving anywhere. But I've had moments where feelings just collapsed me to the floor in the kitchen and I just had to ride the wave. Feelings can come in a giant wave. And the great thing to know is when a really big feeling is happening, if you just focus, breathe, understand the main concept, and this is what Jesus said, I am. You exist. I am. that feeling is going to come in, do whatever it has to do. It makes its indication because it's an indicator. And then it's going to settle down and you'll find calmness. And then you can start thinking about, now we're back to thoughts and decisions. You can start thinking about what could have brought that feeling on. Is there some action you need to take, or was it just a memory that you had? And, you might want to even try to avoid having those memories. Or maybe it's just part of the reconciliation with the memories as they come through. So that's what you got to do with the feelings. But here's what's awesome. Your divine purpose is going to be pointed out when your beliefs and your feelings and your intuition and your thoughts are all pointed in the right direction. That's when you find your true purpose. This was the last paper for this particular video. I had a great time talking to you guys. Thank you. Love you. Coffee. Drink my coffee.
I cut my own path like an explorer, with a compass in my soul. This way I'm choosing will take me to joy and make my spirit whole. Noisy voices in the air, a symphony of doubt. I prefer my intuition, gotta drown the static out. Crazy choices on the board, a game I have to play. I will make my own decision, gotta find my own new way. Life's a game, I'm playing by my rules, a rebel in the code. It's all the same, just different fools. I'm lightening my own load. I'm lightening my own rules, a rebel in the code. It's all the same, just different fools. I'm lightening my own load. I cut my own path like an explorer, with a compass in my soul. This way I'm choosing will take me to joy and make my spirit whole. Noisy voices in the air, a symphony of doubt. I prefer my intuition, gotta drown the static out. Crazy choices on the board, a game I have to play. I will make my own decision, gotta find my own new way. Life's a game, I'm playing by my rules, a rebel in the code. It's all the same, just different fools. I'm lightening